everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's Cold Fire.
And I'm Kit.
And today we are going back a little bit because we missed a lot of the interviews because we just reacted to Madonna's Blonde Ambition World Tour, and I forgot that, we were also going to do the interviews. So we're going to do a few interviews to catch up, and then we're going to go into the erotica era of her next chapter. So without further ado, this is an interview that we found online from 1984. Grant you, some of these interviews are very short. I don't know why, but anyways, we're going to try to cover as many as we can. Like I said, we're going to try to do everything that we possibly can by Madonna, including interviews. Okay? So let's take it away.
Well, now that I'm successful, I have a million more things to worry about. Before, I was just basically interested in my survival, like what I was going to eat and what I was going to wear when it got cold outside and where I was going to live. But now I have to worry about who's ripping me off, and is my accountant paying all my bills, and is my lawyer making all those deals for me, and, boring and mundane things like that. Things I don't want to worry about. And I have to invest my money, or I'm going to be taxed, or, and I have to find a place, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to pay everyone. And I have to hire people to make sure that everybody's doing all those things, and ugh. Well, the new album is a lot more grown up than the first album. It's a lot more well-rounded style-wise. I have 2 ballads on it, and I've never recorded a ballad before, and it's not, my first album was termed a dance record, everything was up-tempo dance music, but this one is a lot of different kinds of sounds. There's some old stuff that sounds like old Motown, there's some really high energy, stuff that maybe sounds more English, more techno, there's a lot of synthesizers. So I think it just shows my growth as a singer and a songwriter. I chose to work with Nile Rodgers because I think that he's a genius, and I wanted to work with a genius on my record. And I think that he embodies a lot of different styles that I think my music embodies. He's very close to the black sound, funk. I mean, the stuff he did with Chic and Sister Sledge and Diana Ross is phenomenal. But he's also made a lot of great pop records with David Bowie and Duran Duran, and In Excess, so I thought he'd be a great person for me to work with. And he's a great musician and arranger.
What made you come to New York?
I don't know. When I was 5 years old, I just woke up one day and I had this idea that I was going to come to New York. I just had to, and so I graduated. As soon as I graduated from high school, I came here. Well, I graduated early, and I just kind of ran away and came here as soon as I could.
When you came here, was there something that you were looking for, or something you were trying to achieve?
Fame and fortune. Yeah. When you're a dancer, you act with you perform with your body. And I think I had a lot of things to say in other ways besides movement. So that's when I got into the music business. And to me, film is just the ultimate, that's the embodiment of it all. You can do all that, only it's captured forever on celluloid. The movie I'm working on is called Desperately Seeking Susan. It's directed by Susan Seidelman, who did a movie called Smithereens, and I play Susan. And Roseanne Arquette, Aidan Quinn, and Robert Joy are and Mark Blum are the other lead characters in the movie. And it takes place in New York. It's shot all in New York, and little bits and pieces of it are shot in New Jersey. And it's like a murder mystery comedy romance. It's kind of like old-fashioned screwball mystery, and the character I play is sort of a combination between Judy Holliday and Carole Lombard, but from a long time ago. So it's funny and light, and it's been a lot of fun so far, but a lot of hard work. It's a lot different than making records.
How do you feel about acting?
Well, acting is just, it's it's just another kind of performing. It's an expression. It's being honest with your audience, stuff like that. So to me, it's just an extension of what I do already, making videos and performing on stage.
Do you find acting or singing more challenging?
Acting. Singing comes a lot more naturally to me. When you make a movie, you really have to rely on your concentration because there's people standing all around you with cameras and lights and all sorts of electrical equipment, and it couldn't be further away from being like the real thing, and you have to ignore everything around you. Everything's shot out of sequence, so you really have to just pretend you're somewhere else and try to concentrate and and remember how you got to where you are right now, because a lot of times you shoot stuff that's happened in the actual movie before you've done the stuff that happens to get you where you are right now. Does that make any sense? If, for instance, you shoot the end of the movie, and so you have to work up the emotions for that scene, but you haven't even shot all the stuff before that, so it's very confusing, and it's a lot more of a challenge to me. Also, it's new to me, so.
Have you learned anything from acting that you can apply to your musical career?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the thing that can carry over from acting to singing is just the performance aspect, losing your inhibitions and being really honest with your audience. And letting all sorts of emotions come through. I don't think that I'm using sex to sell myself. I think that I'm a very sexual person, and that comes through in my performing. And if that's what gets people to buy my records, then that's fine. But I don't think of it consciously, well, I'm going to be sexy to get people interested in me. It's the way I am. It's the way I've always been. Every once in a while, I'll get a reaction from another performer who's a feminist, a singer. And if I do get anything from them, I think they're jealous and envious of me. And my reply to them is that that's the choice that I've made. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life, and you're not going to tell me what to do with mine. I enjoy this. This is my choice. And I'm bringing, I think I'm bringing happiness to people. So it's as simple as that. I think that the world sees images. I mean, you build an image for yourself, and the world ends up seeing only that aspect of you. Maybe eventually every person is multifaceted, and hopefully, the longer your career goes on, the more you can get that out of you. But I couldn't begin to tell you what the world doesn't see in me right now. There's a million things. What I would like to ultimately achieve, I already told Dick Clark once on American Bandstand. So I'll repeat it again and annoy everyone who was annoyed before when I said it. I want to conquer the world. Okay?
Well, that really summed up a lot. Do you think Madonna was like a what would you call it? She could see into the future.
A time traveler?
Almost like a time traveler. Because remember, she's like, there's like a million things that the world has not seen that I have to offer.
I think what it is with her is that she's so damn smart. She knows what she wants, and she's not going to let anything stop her.
Yeah.
So she knew what she wanted to do, and she's getting it done. However,
yeah.
I am so glad she stopped twirling that damn hair on interviews.
I was going to say that because she reminded me of Charm whenever...
it's like...
Well, you got to realize this is probably one of the very first interviews.
Well,
and like she was starting out talking about, this is when she was really becoming big in the music world, and she's telling you it's not just as easy as just being a singer.
Mm-hmm.
She's also got to hire the right people that's not going to screw her over with the money. You got people that's going to be in charge of your who gets paid and on time and everything, and make sure that your taxes are lined up because she didn't want to fraud the government. Stuff, all these kind of things can miss us, and I've seen it happen a lot of times with singers, especially with young singers that had their parents watching them, like Britney did. like how they swindled them out of their fortune
I get it.
and they lost their career. Madonna, in this interview, is showing you that from the very beginning. She says she woke up when she was 5. Well, her mother died when she was 5. I think that may have contributed to her wanting to get away.
Do you blame her?
No, she wanted to get away and leave that behind and become famous. And I think that her mother's death pushed her to become successful. I think she was kind of seeking her. She was doing it to kind of like seek her mother's approval.
Because
She wanted to earn her way.
in my opinion, if her mother had not passed on,
She probably wouldn't.
she would not be who she is today.
But who knows? I mean, she may have.
No,
But she may not have. But she talks about it later on in life, how much her mother's death pushed her to get out of Detroit
correct.
and become a dancer. I mean, she went to New York with it only $35 to her name and lived in squalors, held at gunpoint, raped, you name it. But it shows it basically she is really focused on all the aspects of an artist, not just the singing part or whatever. She's focused on making sure that everyone around her is getting paid and the ones that she hires are legit. And I love how she's been with Nile Rodgers since the beginning. He knew she could be a big star. She knew it too. That's why she says she wanted to work with the best, because he had worked with some Motown.
Mm-hmm.
And remember I told you, I think, when we were doing the Madonna album, Motown influenced her a lot. She was really big into the Supremes and all the Motown people. That's why, if you ever watched a Motown thing, you might have a lead singer up there and you have 4 guys over there and they're just doing a dance.
Yeah.
They don't add anything to it, but they add a certain element to the singing. But I like it, how she said at the end, there's already been backlash at her saying that she wanted to conquer the world, which, by the way, she already has. But like she says, she's like, I'm going to do what I got to do. You do what you got to do.
I wonder if she realizes when he was asking her about acting, being in movies versus singing, what and things like that, and her response was, acting is just another form of I had a brain freeze. Another form of expression,
Right.
And I wonder,
But with a little
but
difference.
I wonder if she realizes in her concerts now what she said then, but in her concerts now, it's basically a movie.
Yeah.
She's doing the acting, the singing, all in one.
Yeah.
But back then during this interview, I don't think she expected to ever do that, because again, remember, back then concerts were just, you went there and saw them singing. They didn't perform or anything like that.
They did
She's
the
opened the
theatrical
door for
effects
that,
and all.
so.
Well, I mean, like her old father video we reacted to, that was a mini movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I mean, it's hard for a big superstar to make it big in acting, because people can't get past seeing, oh, that's Madonna.
So.
Elvis had the same problem.
Yep.
So,
Well,
but the last thing I want to point out on there is she's like, I'm not trying to be sexual. It's just, it was born into her, and you can definitely tell that from her beginning up until now. She exudes sexuality, whether she's standing still, whether she's dancing, or no matter what she's doing. And Marilyn Monroe had the same problem.
mm-hmm.
Remember, Marilyn could just walk into a thing, and she exuded sexuality. It wasn't on purpose.
Oh, I know.
It was just, some people exude sexuality whenever you see them. And Marilyn Monroe is a perfect example of someone that is one of the biggest stars in the world, and that's all I had to say about it. But I think it was a great interview. I wish it lasted a little bit longer, but back then she wasn't so famous as to do a big interview, I guess, and this looks like it was chopped up for some reason. But we're going to get on to the next video, and we're going to try to catch up on that and see how far we can get today. Okay? Well, we hope that you enjoyed this interview from 1984 with Madonna talking about, I guess, the aspects of her business life, nothing about more the music. But stick around for the next Madonna interview. Love you guys. Bye bye.